I love having backyard chickens. They're so easy to care for. Just give them food, water, and a safe place to shelter. And you don't need to spend a fortune to have a small flock. In this video, Todd Brock, the co-author of Chicken Coops for Dummies, and I are going to show you how to build your own chicken coop in a single afternoon for under $200, and even less if you use your own material. So if the coop really is your biggest investment when starting a backyard flock, it makes sense to think carefully about all the elements you need in a well-designed coop. And to help us with that is Todd Brock. Now Todd is an expert at putting things together. Not only is he an avid do-it-yourselfer and the author of Building Chicken Coops for Dummies, but he's also our consulting producer with over 1,000 television episodes under his belt. He knows a thing or two about putting things together in a big way.
So it starts with the floor. We put our floor frame together out of basic 2x4 lumber, nailed that together, and then we put plywood decking on top. That's going to be the actual floor of the coop. And this is just 4 feet by 4 feet. That's the footprint of the entire coop.
And then you just bring it to its final location, but you don't set it directly onto the grass because the moisture in the soil and the grass is not good when it comes in direct contact with the wood.
Yeah, that direct soil to wood contact is just going to make the wood rot faster, and we don't want that. So if you can get the coop up off the ground, even by a few inches, the coop will last longer and the chickens will actually like it better. So we've got these concrete pier blocks that we picked up at the Home Improvement Center. They've got the recesses in the top, and that's going to accept a 2x4 when it's laid on its side. So this should just lock into place like that. And we've got a solid elevated surface for us to build the rest of the coop on.
Very easy.
With the floor in, we could move on to the wall frames, and we used 4x4 posts at each of the 4 corners, and those are basically our studs. And the reason we use big 4x4s is if with those on the corners, we don't have to put interior studs the way we would do on a wall inside your house. It's just less lumber to buy, fewer cuts to make, makes everything a little bit simpler. So the wall frames went up, and they're not going anywhere.
No, they're not. But I noticed one is obviously taller than the others, and there's a reason for that, no doubt.
Yeah, that is the front wall. So when we put a roof on here, that's going to give us the pitch we need so that rainwater sheds away from the coop.
And you were telling me about a tip that you learned at the lumber yard that is really going to cut down on the amount of work involved. Yeah,
this coop was designed to be easy to build in every aspect, right down to making the cuts. There's no angled cuts anywhere in the coop. All of the straight cuts are made on either a full inch or a half inch, so you don't need to get into any crazy carpentry. When you get to the lumber yard and you're dealing with these 4 by 8 foot sheets of plywood that are very heavy and very awkward to deal with, the lumber yard will actually make one cut per sheet for you for free so that you can get it into your car. The trick is, you tell them where you want the cut to be. So if you show up with the measurements in hand, you tell them exactly where to make the cut, and they've done half the work for you.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we've got it, Todd. That looks like a coop to me.
Yeah, it's not terribly pretty, but it'll get the job done.
Yeah, but for less than a couple $100 and a few hours in an afternoon, I think we've done pretty well.
Yeah, you know, and really all that's left to do is the roof. You could go plywood sheathing and shingles. You could go corrugated metal or fiberglass panels. Probably something you already have in the garage.
Hopefully so. That'll save some money. I also like how you've created this ventilation space as well as a way to protect anything from coming in here. This is hardware cloth. This isn't chicken wire though.
That's right. Chicken wire sounds like it would be the obvious choice, but that stuff is very flimsy and it doesn't take much at all for a raccoon to work its way through that. So we went with a beefier material, hardware cloth, and we've anchored it with these washers and screws. So this is our ventilation, it's a window, and it's protection.
Yeah, and I really also like how you've turned this wall into the door, so it's very, very efficient.
Again, trying to keep it simple. Instead of building a door, we just put one wall of it on hinges. The key is you've got to have some way to be able to lock it closed. You're not really trying to keep the chickens in. The chickens will want to stay in there. You're trying to keep predators out, and this is tight enough to be able to do that.
Yeah. And finally, we used the leftover wood for the nesting boxes and the roosting bar.
Yeah, we saved all of our scrap from these cuts and put it all to good use. I think we're ready for chickens.
If you'd like the plans for this easy-to-build coop, you can find it in the book, Building Chicken Coops for Dummies.